Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Greetings. Welcome to my channel. Hope you're doing well. Today I will be explaining part 2 of my journey with cerebral palsy. And if you haven't seen part 1, I suggest you do watch part 1 in order to understand part 2. And in that video I did go in depth how I got paralyzed during delivery. So in part 1, I left off that I swallowed meconium and I ended up in the ICU right after delivery. So I ended up being in the ICU and staying in the hospital for about a week or so due to all the impact that I was put through. That is what I had to do. All the impact that was caused to me and everything, they didn't let my parents know about what the doctor had done to me and the outcome of it. And when they did bring me to my mother, just for a bit of time, because I was supposed to be back in the ICU for special treatments and stuff, what they did was basically they brought me wrapped up. They played this like a story. They simply wrapped me up in a swaddle. You know how they usually wrap up the baby. And that is how they returned me to my mother. They told her, here, change your baby's diaper. And on top of that, they gave her the diaper to change me. They didn't assist her, which is bizarre. Keep in mind, not only was I severely impacted by this whole situation, but as well as my mother. She, till this day, due to all that, she has back pain. That day, she extremely injured, couldn't walk, she couldn't move because she was extremely impacted by this whole situation. She ended up coming out of the hospital walking with the assistance of a walker. Can you imagine that? From thinking that you're gonna go to the hospital, having a safe delivery, welcoming a new life to the world and a new addition to your family, and they had a child already. So I'm the second child, and imagine all the trauma she had to go through, all the trauma my older sibling had to go through, just because the doctor did not want to take the correct actions and have a safe delivery is just insane to me. I don't know what was wrong with that. That doctor it was quite an impact, but I thank God and thank to my parents, because it is truly a blessing that I am here today, alive, 20 years old, almost 21, because if it wasn't for them, and I truly believe that I have a purpose to be here, and I believe that that purpose is to inspire and motivate others that, look at me, all the trauma that I had to go through, and I am still going through it. I am here pursuing and meeting my dreams. I don't give up. I always try to look at the bright side. I understand that there's always bad things, but look, there's always a bright side. That is what I always try to tell people when they're down, as well as my parents, to help them alleviate a bit of the stress that they have. So I was in the ICU for about a week or so, and after that I was able to go home with my parents. And remember, I had an older sibling already. It was such a difficult time because my parents do not have family around to be able to assist them. Throughout my staying at the hospital, my parents would always take turns. My mother would stay with me throughout the night, and my father would stay with me throughout the day. Since they had a child already, they had to go give attention to that child, because imagine you have a child. It's not a very happy camp. It's not a very great place to be in. You don't have any assistance from anyone. On top of that, you don't have any guidance, and you're just believing what the doctor said. So one day when they did bring me back to my parents, they told my parents in a very raw way, which is not a good way to be telling the parent another bad news on top of what they already had to find out themselves. I could not move my head like a normal baby because of all the impact that I was put through. My shoulder and my head were like stuck together, and I cannot move my head. So they just went in one day and they say, "Mr. and Mrs., your daughter cannot see or hear." Imagine how devastating my parents felt in that moment, especially my mother. It was just one news on top of another, which it seemed like an endless bad movie to be in. And my mom was devastated, and my dad, and so they had to take that in, and how irrelevant and unprofessional the doctors as well as the nurses that were helping my mother with me at the time and didn't take the right actions towards procedures and the exams that they're supposed to take. The doctor didn't even take time to actually examine me, how my outcome was and how my body was. So my dad, he was like, but when I talk to her, she makes noises, and you can tell that she tries to move towards where she hears the noise. Not by moving my head, because it was stuck, but with my eyes, I would move my eyes towards where I would hear the noise. And so my dad started doing little tests, started bringing little toys, or made shapes out of paper, or little things to try to get my attention and see if what the doctor had told them was true or not. So my dad would start doing those noises and practicing with me and seeing, and he noticed that I would actually move my eyes towards where I would hear the noise coming from. And so they told the doctor, and the doctor was surprised, which is my parents were actually I don't think they told the doctor, but they probably were yeah, you're not doing the right job, and probably told him, I as a parent will never give up on my child and will try to help my child out. And after my stay at the hospital, I ended up going home for about 4 to 5 months. This is where part 3 will be ending, and I will be doing part 4. If you want to go ahead and watch that story, part 4 just gets worse. And if you want to stay tuned for the next part, subscribe and turn on that post notification bell button so you can get notified when I do upload part 4, as well as stay tuned for new videos that I will be uploading. As well as remember to comment, like, share, and I love you guys. Stay positive.